Nicole and I studied defect trap states in perovskite solar cells, or PSCs. Perovskite solar cell efficiency is reduced by Shockley-Read-Hall recombination, in which a charge carrier becomes trapped in a mid-bandgap energy state, or trap state. Theoretical studies suggest point defects in the absorber may be responsible for these trap states. By understanding how these point defects form and contribute to a material's electronic structure, we can gain insight into routes of Shockley-Read-Hall recombination and the associated loss of efficiency. This experiment used samples of methylenediammonium dichloride-stabilized alpha-formamidinium lead triiodide, a perovskite that has yielded impressive power conversion efficiencies of 23.7%. In order to understand how point defects contribute to the electronic structure of this perovskite, I wanted to determine the point defect transition energy and the related subgap density of states. I also wanted to know what types of defects were present and where they were physically located. I started by taking current voltage curves to get an idea of the relative efficiencies of my samples. Samples were subjected to the illumination of one sun, where current and voltage were then measured. The Lonergan group is advantaged with a particularly sensitive monochromator that allows us to use external quantum efficiency, or EQE, to extract information about defects. Figure 1 demonstrates the procedure used in EQE, where light from the monochromator is directed to the sample, generating charge carriers. The subsequent photocurrent is then measured. The EQE signal is the number of carriers collected divided by the light incident, which is determined from a reference diode, as shown in equations 1 and 2. The EQE signal can be fit with equation 3, where the density of defect states can be extracted by fitting the second term of the equation. Voltage modulation of the depletion layer width using capacitance voltage measurements should allow the extraction of the dopant plus defect density given as N using the Mach-Schottky equation 4. Built-in potential, VBI, can be estimated from the x-intercept of a Mach-Schottky plot. Defect locations can be determined using capacitance voltage profiling, which is given in equation 5. Figure 2 demonstrates the IV curves of two different samples of MDA-Cl2 stabilized perovskite. Sample 2 appeared to have a larger power quadrant than sample 1, suggesting it has a higher efficiency. Hysteresis is present in all three samples, where data points do not necessarily overlap when taken in reverse or forward bias. Hysteresis occurs when some aspect of a device's history influences its future behavior. There is a consensus within the field that hysteresis in PSCs is linked to changes in the device's electric field that are caused by ionic movement, which may be driven by applied bias. In figure 3, sample 1 appears to exhibit a defect signal while sample 2 did not. Sample 1 was thus fit with equation 3, visualized as a black line. It is made clear that the magnitude of the defect signal present in sample 1 is smaller than those of FAPBI3 and MAPBI3. Here, calculations gave a defect transition energy of 1.08 plus or minus 0.01 electron volts for the sample 1 defect signal. Figure 4 is a Mach-Schottky plot of the MDA-Cl2 stabilized samples. The shallower slope of sample 1 would suggest a larger defect density than that of sample 2, assuming they have the same dopant density. Again, we see hysteresis in both datasets. The built-in potential appears larger than would be realistically expected, which suggests that samples 1 and 2 have graded junctions, or another capacitance is contributing, potentially that of a hysteretic capacitance. In conclusion, the figure 3 EQE spectra displays a defect with transition energy of 1.08 plus or minus 0.01 electron volts found in sample 1 of the MDA-Cl2 stabilized perovskite. Sample 1 shows a lower number of defects than the FAPBI3 and MAPBI3 samples. This suggests the stabilized sample may suppress subgap density states with greater efficacy than alternative compositions. In the future, I would like to use more advanced capacitance methods to finish answering my research questions. The advantage of one such method, transient photocapacitance, is that it can extract defect energy similar to EQE, but with particular sensitivity to the absorber layer. Drive level capacitance profiling would also be advantageous, as it can distinguish between the dopant and defect densities, where CV profiling cannot. However, the simplest of capacitance methods, CV measurements, fail to follow traditional theory. As such, it will be prudent to investigate the experimental divergence from theory when taking capacitance voltage measurements, so we may have a better idea of how hysteresis may be affecting the more advanced capacitance techniques. I would like to thank the Department of Energy and the Presidential Undergraduate Research Scholars Program for funding this research. A special thanks goes out to Zach Crawford for his patience and support as a mentor. Thank you.